The interview had felt promising. The way the panel nodded when he spoke, the slight smile one of them gave as he outlined his past projects, even the way they had said, "We'll be in touch soon," it had carried a weight that others hadn't. For the first time in months, John left an office building with his chest lifted. He walked out into the cold Johannesburg air feeling taller, as if the city might finally see him again. For a week, he carried that glow. He replayed the interview in his head, the laughs, the polite nods, the way one interviewer had said, "We're really impressed." He let himself imagine the email that would confirm it. The words, "We are pleased to inform you," flickered in his mind like a neon sign. But when the email finally came, it didn't glow. It was short, polite, clinical. "We regret to inform you." John read it 3 times, hoping the words would change. They didn't. The air seemed to drain out of his lungs. His shoulders sagged. He closed the laptop, but the rejection burned behind his eyelids. For a long time, he just sat there at his kitchen table, staring at the chipped paint on the wall, feeling the weight of silence pressing harder than ever. By evening, he found himself at the corner shop with loose change clinking in his pocket. He bought one of the cheapest box wine they had. The cashier didn't even look at him twice. Maybe men buying despair in cardboard wasn't unusual here. Back in his flat, he poured it into a mug and drank it until the taste stopped mattering. The world blared, but not enough to soften the ache in his chest. Each sip pulled him deeper, not into numbness, but into something darker. His thoughts started circling. What's the point? How much longer can I do this? Maybe it will be easier if I just stopped. He pressed his palms against his eyes until stars danced in the darkness. His lips were cracked, his scalp itchy, his body heavy. Hope had been fragile before, now it felt dead. Somewhere between one mug and the next, he picked up his phone. His thumb hovered, trembling. He scrolled through his contacts until her name appeared. His ex, the woman who had left when his life started unraveling. His eyes lingered on her name. For a long time, he just stared. He told himself not to. He knew what the answer would be, but loneliness makes liars of us all. He pressed call. The phone rang. Once, twice, a third time. Then her voice, soft, hesitant. "John?" Just hearing her was like stepping into sunlight after months of rain. He closed his eyes, gripping the phone tighter. "It's me." A pause. "Why are you calling me?" I don't know. I just needed to hear you." His voice cracked. The wine swirled in his veins, loosening what he'd been holding in. "I miss you, I really do." No response. Her silence wasn't cold, it was heavy. Sad. The kind of silence that carried memories. 3 years of them. Late night takeaways, laughing at nothing. The way she used to hold his hand in taxis as if it grounded him. "John," she said at last, her voice breaking. "You know I love you. I never stopped. But I left because I couldn't breathe anymore. I'm sorry for how we ended. I wish I could do things differently. I wish I could see things differently, the way you wanted me to." A heavy sigh on the other side of the line followed by, "Have you gotten anything yet?" "No," responded John. "John, there is life outside of Johannesburg," she responded. "Joburg is my home," he whispered, desperate, defensive. I was born here. This is where my life is supposed to be. I can't leave you here. But you don't have me anymore, John. Her voice rose, then flattened. Do you think it didn't kill me to watch you sink? To sit there helpless, begging you to look for work outside this God-forbidden city you love so much, and you just refused? John's hand trembles around the phone. I never wanted to lose you. You're it for me. I don't know if I would ever be able to love anyone like I love you. The line went quiet. He thought maybe she was crying too. His heart pounded in the silence, as if begging her to take him back. When she spoke, her voice was small but firm. I can't come back, John. I can't put myself through that again. I'm sorry, I can't. These words break him more than any rejection email, more than his mother's disappointment, more than the landlord's letters, because they weren't cruel, they were true. I love you, he whispered, almost to himself. I love you too, she said, barely audible. Then the line went dead. John sat with the phone pressed to his ear long after, as if maybe her voice would return if he waited long enough. The silence that followed was louder than any sound he'd ever heard. Minutes later, or maybe hours, he scrolled again, this time his ex-manager. The man who had once praised him in meetings, who had once said John was one of the most promising young hires we've had. He hit call. It was past 7 p.m. The man answered, voice rough with irritation. What do you want, John? I was wondering if you had anything, any new openings, anything. I can come back. John, the manager cut him off. Like I told you last month, we don't have anything. I don't have time for this. Stop calling me. The line went silent again. Another door slammed shut. John sat with a box of wine, phone in his hand. He felt like a man standing at the edge of a cliff, calling out for a rope, only to hear laughter in the wind. The flat was quiet, too quiet. Even the fridge had gone still. He rubbed his face with both hands, dragging his fingers down until they tugged at his skin. The landlord's number glowed next in his contacts. John stared at it. He thought of the letters slipped under his door, the warnings, the final notice. 6 months. 6 months since he'd lost his job. And still he had clung to this place like it was proof he hadn't completely fallen apart. But maybe it was time to stop clinging. He pressed call. The landlord answered quickly. John swallowed. His throat felt dry, but the words came out steadily. I'm moving out. End of the month. I can't stay here anymore. There was a pause, then a short, indifferent reply. Good, I'll start looking for a new tenant. The call ended. John set the phone down and leaned back, staring at the ceiling. The plaster was cracked in one corner, faint spiderweb lines crawling outward. He'd stared at those cracks 1,000 times, but tonight they seemed different, like proof that even walls couldn't hold forever. He closed his eyes. For the first time, he let himself imagine what it might feel like to leave all this behind. The rejection, the shame, the endless hours that stretched like deserts. But under that thought, quieter, almost hidden, was another. Home. Back to his mother's house. Back to where he started. A step backward, maybe. Or maybe the only step left. The wine was finished. His head was heavy. His heart heavier still. The night pressed down and John let it. Yeah. John let it as he broke down.